Hello, I'm Margaret Perrow, professor of English at Southern Oregon University, where I also direct the Oregon Writing Project at SOU. And I'm super excited to be part of this conference and to share what I've come to call the Metaphorism Project with you, or the Metaphorism Project. You can pronounce it either way, of course, depending on what you would like to emphasize. I'd like to just explain to you how this project came about and what you're going to find on this website. Writing instructors often assign an extended metaphor essay in which students compare the writing process to some other activity that they do well or love to do. This kind of essay can be a valuable way for writers to deepen their understanding of the writing process and to build confidence as writers. I like to remind my students that the term essay actually comes, of course, from the French essayer, meaning to try or to try out. And in this case, it's an opportunity for students to try out a comparison between two processes. We know that metaphors are an important way that we build our understanding of new concepts. In other words, when we compare a new or a less familiar concept to one that we actually know well, we come to understand the new concept better. And in this case, when students see the parallels between writing and some other activity that they do well, they understand the writing process better. They gain confidence as writers, and they recognize in themselves skills and strategies they already have that they can apply to the writing process. So seeing writing as sailing or writing as baking or writing as surfing lends itself to a deeper understanding of writing itself. The Metaphorism Project came about in an upper division English class that I teach called Intro to Teaching Writing. It's a class for students who are curious about teaching or who plan to become language arts teachers. The Metaphorism Project ties the metaphor essay, which is an early in the term assignment, to an end of term creative project, which is the aphorism project, the aphorism presentation. Students create a tangible artifact that somehow represents their metaphor, and they use it to display a set of aphorisms or pithy sayings about writing that reflect their metaphor. These sayings can come from anywhere, but students typically find quotes from authors that they like, their favorite authors, about the writing process. Students create metaphorism or metaphorism projects that they might display in their future classrooms and perhaps use to help their future students appreciate writing as a process. Now, over the years, I've created several of these projects myself, and I think my favorite is the wood chopping metaphor, and hence the wood chopping metaphorism project or metaphorism project. And here is my wood chopping project. I'm not much of an expert wood chopper, and I'll talk about that in a second, but I do live in the woods, and wood chopping is one of those necessities of life in the country. But a funny thing happened as I wrote my metaphor, writing as wood chopping, and chopped my wood. I intended wood chopping to be my metaphor for writing, but instead it turned out that writing became my metaphor for wood chopping. Framing wood chopping in light of writing helped me become a more confident wood chopper, more skilled in that process. I realized that I actually had felt like a better writer than a wood chopper, but the same basic principle applied. Comparing an activity I knew pretty well, which was writing, to one I was less confident in, wood chopping, helped me understand the less familiar process better. So I've displayed my aphorisms on tiny axes on this log, which is actually a log from my woodpile. And I invite students to pull out an axe and read the aphorism and reflect on it, or to write one of their own on a little blank axe and leave it on my log. I think my favorite aphorism here is one that's often attributed to Dorothy Parker, although a lot of other people are attributed to this as well. And it's on the side of the log here. It says, "I don't like to write, but I like having written." That's how I often feel, because having written, I have a place to dig in and start revising, and perhaps to see what it is that I am actually trying to write. All right, so what you'll find on this website. Directly underneath this video, you'll find a small sampling of student posts. This website is a work in progress. I'm adding videos as students send them to me. If you click on one of those posts, you'll find a short 2-minute video of the student presenting their metaphorism project. And you'll find a short written quote from the student below the video. And then if you scroll down past the other recent posts down at the bottom, you can leave a comment or a question for that student presenter, which we hope you do. We look forward to getting feedback from you. Below that section on the left, I've included a link to an article I co-wrote in 2020 with 2 student authors about how writing extended metaphors strengthen their identity as writers and help them build skill and confidence in the process. And on the right, you'll find a link. This is still down at the bottom of the website. On the right, you'll find a link to the assignment directions that I give students for the metaphor essay, as well as a very short essay of mine called Splitting Words, which is about my comparison of writing to wood chopping. It's a little piece that appeared in our regional newspaper a few years ago. And perhaps most importantly, at the bottom, there's a form for you to fill out to tell us your own metaphor for writing, or perhaps leave us a favorite aphorism or two about the writing process. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for your interest in the Metaphorism Project.